So hello and welcome officially. So a while back, an operations consultant that I know was meeting with a manufacturing client in the morning, and that client was complaining. They were complaining because a few months earlier, they had invested in a machine and some new capabilities, but they couldn't seem to find clients. Then, same consultant goes to the second client in the afternoon, and that manufacturer is complaining. They're complaining because they're not hitting their lead times. And why? Because they can't find a specific supplier with a specific set of capabilities. So, my friend, the consultant, Chris Sinieri of Polaris MEP, took the second client by the arm, walked to the front entrance of his building, looked down the road, three houses, three facilities, pointed to client number one's facility and said, "There's your guy. There's the guy who has the capabilities you need to be able to get to those lead times. And there's the guy who's looking to be able to sell those services to you and partner with you." So I am Erin Reed, and I am the marketing director for Nterprisers. And I tell that story, one, because it's true, two, because it's definitely relatable, and three, because it's a simple way to illustrate how especially smaller manufacturers can struggle to find sales or to find suppliers or to find solutions because they can't find those things. They therefore struggle to grow. And let's be honest, not every match is going to be three doors down with Chris Sinieri walking you to the entrance to point the way. So how can manufacturers find each other and grow? Well, that's where we come in. The manufacturing sector, as you all know, is very fragmented, and it's filled with thousands of smaller manufacturing companies. Smaller means you don't have a lot of time and you don't have a lot of marketing expertise, you don't have a lot of money. You're skilled, you're innovative, you're resilient, you're adaptable, but you're small. And at Nterprisers, we believe that all manufacturers are important, regardless of size, critically important to your local communities, to your state economies, to our national strength. And if our smaller manufacturers can't be found, and they're so vitally important, what can we do? Well, that's our why. That's our mission. It is our mission to help every manufacturer be found and every manufacturer find what they need or who they need to become stronger and grow. That's why. So what is the how? This gives you a little tip off for those of you who haven't yet had a chance to play around with the platform of what we provide. But I'm going to start with a quick show of hands. They can be virtual, they can be real, whatever. Has anybody ever been to a manufacturing trade show and tried to find a supplier or a new customer? Raise your hand. If you've ever had to go to a manufacturing trade show, an expo, whatever it is. Yeah, yeah. So I'll ask a second follow-up question. Do you believe that a manufacturing trade show is fabulous, profitable, fun, super efficient, great way to function? No, right? So the other day, I had somebody who described to me that the Nterprisers platform for him was like a manufacturing trade show that never sleeps. And I thought, well, that's not a bad description, because for us, as part of our mission to make sure that the manufacturing marketplace works for everyone, we started by making sure that every manufacturer has a booth in our trade show for free, by the way. And that means that everybody has a booth. So that means that they can find and be found. And then we filled those booths with the details that communicate what these companies are qualified to do. And so those trade show booths for Nterprisers are really our pre-built company profiles. We used public sources, including a manufacturer's own website. And then we curated and collected and cleared and quality checked the actual data and made sure that it was what was real and what matters most to other manufacturers. And then the data is further improved. When you see a check mark like this, it means that that company has claimed their profile, they've verified or corrected information, and they've enhanced it to really put the focus on what makes them the most special so that potential customers can find them. So with Nterprisers, every manufacturer in Rhode Island or Massachusetts can walk into the trade show that never sleeps. They can pick up their name tag, go to their virtual booth, and then they can start doing business with some private time-saving tools. That's what we're going to be focused on today, are the tools. Tools are what we're going to dive into. There's going to be a quick demo to give you an idea of what you can do to search, find, and connect. Especially, we're going to call out some of our newer features that for folks who may have been using the platform but haven't been on there in about a month, things change fast. We're going to do that. Luckily, and best of all, we have Rose Wood from Neocorp, who's going to share a little bit of her experience as a manufacturer and maybe even a tip, fingers crossed. And then we'll kind of walk you through, okay, how do you pick up your name tag? How do you find your way to your virtual trade show booth on Nterprisers? And how do you start doing some business with that? I will be moving quickly because I'm trying to respect your time. So please throw your questions into chat. Our wonderful new marketing coordinator, Megan Carroll. Meg, raise your hand.
Hello.
Hi. She's going to be monitoring chat for us and making sure the questions come our way. And if we don't have time for it today, we'll make sure that we follow up personally with every single one of you. So ready, set, demo. All right. So when you come to the Nterprisers platform, after you've created an account, as a manufacturer, you could be greeted by this dashboard. And the dashboard is really designed to let you both launch a search quickly. You can find either a manufacturer or another partner, right? We also have some helpful resources because we know that you guys aren't one note, and so neither should we. They might be resources to people who love manufacturers as much as we do, or they might be information that will really help you move forward. We've also got saved data. When you're a plus level subscriber, you get the ability to save your searches and your individual companies. So question, so if you've gone to a manufacturing trade show, what are they good for, right? They're good for sourcing a new supplier, let's say. So, okay, if I wanted to source a new supplier, here's a sourcing success story. A tier 2 aerospace manufacturer in Rhode Island had gotten a very big contract, and they were fretting about the total cost because, as they told us, they could not find a single vendor east of Michigan who could do 24-inch outer diameter milling. So our founder, Deepa Krishnamurthy, said, well, let's go ahead and type in this search. And at that point, we only had Rhode Island manufacturers. So she searched, and when she looked at Rhode Island, it turned out that there were only 4 manufacturers who could, in fact, do that in Rhode Island. But again, remember, there were 4 manufacturers in Rhode Island alone, and the company, Eaton Aerospace, had told us they couldn't find anybody east of Michigan. With these profiles, they were able to vet potential candidates, reach out, get quotes, and awarded a $1 million contract. So these 4 manufacturers at that time had no idea that Nterprisers even existed. But by having a pre-built profile in Nterprisers, Nterprisers made sure that the customer knew they existed. How do we do that? Here we go. We're not allowed to know who the contract went to, by the way, but I'm going to pick on Guildtool because they verified it, because I also know them and they're a terrific group. And I know that they had one of the pre-built profiles that was robust enough to show off their qualifications to that tier 2 potential customer. So what is that we see here? We see the check mark. So they have claimed their profile, they have verified the data, and they've enhanced it, made sure it's correct. The data will always include a company overview. So at a glance, you get a sense for who these folks are and what they do. It'll also include some detailed lists of equipment and capabilities. Look at all those beautiful grinding machines. And certifications. Look at all those beautiful certifications, right? All of these things I say are beautiful because they are beautiful. If you are searching for a supplier, you see the beauty in saving the time and getting straight to the capabilities that match your needs. Now, Gil has done some pretty smart things to enhance this further, but no matter what, having this data here means that the buyer didn't have to look for days and days on end on Google. And on Google, we all know the person who rises to the most might be Joe's Machine Shop out in Ohio because Joe has invested the most with Google advertising. Or you'd lose your mind. You couldn't type in 24 OD milling and find the right manufacturer in Rhode Island if you did that with Google, right? But like I said, Gil did a great job. And here's my number 1 tip that I really love, which is that more information is actually better. So Gill, for instance, they have these NAICS codes that we had known that they were registered with and that they had. But they said, you know what? We do a lot of other things. That's sure our primary set NAICS code, but we have all of these secondary NAICS codes. We also have some special FCC codes, and we have Cajun Duns codes, which means that we are ready to be a government contractor. So a customer who's looking for somebody to help be in a defense supply chain knows that they don't have to have that new supplier jump through as many hoops. They're contract ready, they're work ready. So more is better. That's tip number one. And the next step, like I said, is really that certifications matter. This is one of my favorites, and it's that they're NIST 800-171, which means that they are taking active steps and really laying down the foundations for cybersecurity. Because for any of us who know about the way the defense contracts go, they are no longer saying it's a good to have or even a nice to have. It's a must have is cybersecurity. So communicating that you've invested in, put in the processes in, and are following things like cybersecurity are really going to make you more attractive to the customers who want to make sure their customers upstream are satisfied. I just said more is better, right? But I will say, I know a manufacturer who told me flat out he is not going to claim his profile. And I said, your profile was built from public sources and your own website. That is what is there. I'm not going to claim my profile, he said. I said, okay, great. Why? And he said, well, if you think about a manufacturing company, it's like an iceberg. And what you see above the surface of the water is what I want you to see. But it's everything that's below that makes me super competitive and wonderful. And I'm going to keep that private and secret forever. And I see Rose's eyes, and I'm pretty sure my eyes did the same exact thing. Because I sat there and said, but what you're doing is you're limiting where the sunshine can fall and what can be seen. And what if a big contractor wanted something a little bit further down that was under the water? If you add more information like Gil did, you raise your iceberg up. You bring more of that to the surface and you get the contracts and the deals and the sales and the opportunities that help your skilled workers continue to advance, right? I'm not saying get so much sunshine on that you're going to melt. Totally understand that. Nterprisers is built specifically with manufacturers' interests in mind, and we know sometimes too much sunshine is actually a glare. You'll be able to strike the balance, but I'll tell you what you shouldn't do. I know of one very well-respected Rhode Island company that is a leader in automotive stampings and products. And what he did was he came in, took his pre-built profile that said he was a leader in automotive, metal stampings and other things. And he removed all the information so that now if I were to search for automotive and stampings, his company will not appear. So that's my tip. More is good, but if you're afraid, make sure you don't cut it back so much that less actually hurts your growth goals. I hope that makes sense kind of going through. Once you've come to a profile like this and you've looked at it and you've said, you know what, I really would like to start a conversation, that's where we go from search, find to connect. And we've got some actions that you can take. You could check out the company's website. We've got convenient links up here. Learn more about them on their social profiles. You could save the company to a hot list. Again, that'll show up on your dashboard. Or you can use our messaging feature for private, streamlined communications. So when I say private, I mean private. We know how important it is to be able to keep things private when we're transacting business. Again, that doesn't mean invisible. That means private, right? So every one of the users in the Nterpriser system gets to decide how much they want to reveal of themselves. And that includes whether or not you should be able to communicate with them individually. So at Gil Tool, for instance, I can either communicate with the actual company appointed representative, or I could communicate directly with Diane, who I'm fortunate enough to have had some partnerships with in my previous life working with manufacturers. So the great thing is I can send her a personal note later. I can also choose to put a tag if I want. Manufacturers, who loves visual management cues? Who loves to be able to look out at a machine, see a red light flashing above it that says, I need help, right? Who loves to see a green one that's working, chugging along, everything happy, right? All of these things are visual cues. Well, enterprisers, we love y'all. So we took a cue from you on cues. By adding these tags, you're basically telling somebody when they look at their messages, hey, if I'm most focused on investment right now and somebody is messaging me privately through the Enterpriser system and has tagged it with investment, that's something I want to jump on today. So it's a great way to be able to kind of tell you, this is what I need for growth. And this is who's out there looking for me, finding me, and wanting to partner with that. All right, I'm going to keep going. Another thing to let you know about, because we have something new with Enterprisers. We have recently announced that all of our Massachusetts companies have actually come out of beta, which means that they've been quality checked. They are really great data. Now they'll continue to be enhanced and more information will come. We'll find additional manufacturers, put them in there. But this is the way. That adds another 6,000 manufacturers
Good
to the
afternoon.
roughly
Stop what that
1,400
sounds.
manufacturers. Yes, Seth, what's up? Did it
Hey,
stop?
Chris, he's actually just traveling back. Can I take a message? And
Anyway, so that's about 6,400 manufacturers, and hopefully you're still seeing the search over here on my screen. Yes?
Yes.
Good. Phew. Okay. Now there's about 7,400 manufacturers in total that are in Rhode Island and Massachusetts. And so again, if we go with the idea that we want to save you time and get you direct to the resources, that's where we want to start combining keywords and filters to get you to the people who might be most interested to. Well, we already searched for a source. Now let's search for some sales, right? So let's imagine that I'm a manufacturer and I know that the capabilities that I offer are the ones that are most important to and of value to people who do 5-axis CNC working with metal. But I'm going to add ITAR. Why? Because as a manufacturer, I'm investing in my own growth and resilience, and I invested in an ITAR certification. I know that there are a lot of other folks out there who are potential customers. They need to make sure that they're showing their upstream folks compliance. So if I have ITAR, they have ITAR, and the ultimate customer requires ITAR, that makes me more competitive for this potential deal, right? And finally, I'm going to get even more specific, and I'm going to say Raytheon. Why? Because in 2025, there were a number of high-profile contracts that were handed to Raytheon from the defense world. So my team got together and decided that in 2026, we were going to go after very strategically becoming a part of the Raytheon supply chain. Again, imagine putting these into a standard directory. You would never be able to get this out of this word salad. But what we get is a list of absolutely much more qualified folks. 20 overall between Rhode Island and Massachusetts. That's a good qualified list. Let's imagine that I am a Rhode Island company and I've decided that I'm going to first prioritize going after Rhode Island manufacturers who have this profile that is close to what my ideal candidate is. That brings me down to 6. I say Rhode Island because we know that many manufacturers are trying to deal with tariff instability, rising prices, etc., by bringing things a little bit more local for local. It reduces their cost. It lets them have a stronger partner for R&D, innovation, and more. This is a great way to be able to do it. And again, once I've gotten this far, this is my list. I can research them by looking at their actual profiles, and I can message them directly and say, hey, I think we could possibly be a good fit. Could we explore this? Do you have time for me to show you how I can help you achieve your goals? I can also, in this search, narrow things down even more. You saw one filter, obviously, which is the location filter. You can also filter by industries. You could sort this by age or even number of employees. If your sweet spot as a manufacturer is working with other manufacturers who say have more than 50 employees because you do something specific that works within a larger group, or your sweet spot is less than 20 employees because you fill a gap that they have, this is a great way to be able to narrow that down. And all of those things, you've got some under sorting by, and you've also got some ability to sort within this area about employees, company age, and all the rest. So this kind of gives you a rapid look at how you can search, find, and connect, create your qualified list. But the most important thing that we have is we don't want to hear from me anymore. We want to hear from Rose. And so it is my deep and great privilege to be able to introduce Rose Wood. So let me go ahead and get you guys down here. This is Rose, by the way. Can't thank you enough for being our featured speaker. Woo woo!
Of course, of course. Anything for you.
That's
Um,
wonderful. Rose, do you want to introduce yourself? I believe you are the competitive advantage for Neocorp, but you might have a different competitive advantage you want to call out.
so I'm Rosewood. I am the buyer and planner at Neocorp. We manufacture rope and cordage in Pawtucket. So we're a local textile manufacturer, and we're a pretty small company. We only have about 30 employees. So in general, a lot of our connections have been based on, the owner and some of the old guard really knowing the other local manufacturers. And there's tons and tons of different people in Rhode Island, but keeping track of who's where can be very difficult. Everyone's definitely doing their own thing. And since I do all the purchasing, I'm always looking into different things that customers need. There's a really broad variety of things people are asking for. And as far as lead times go, if I can get someone in Rhode Island, it could be 3 days to 3 weeks. But if I have to go overseas, it's 3 months. There's tariffs. It is a much longer process. So having those local connections is super important. Which is personally, I love the little filter by industry, filter by code, because that allows me to see a lot of different people in the area that I didn't otherwise know about. It also means that people can see us, and we might get more inquiries from other people who are looking for those same sort of connections. We do have a lot of relationship with local people, but obviously there's a lot more we can explore. So I've definitely updated our profile, gotten updated in the hopes that other people will find us. Um, I also personally really love this. We have extra stock over here. We need extra stock over there. I have really been asking for this Facebook Marketplace style system in any context forever because I think it's something really useful that we could use. And I mean,
Mhm.
I do it with yarn with local vendors all the time. I say, hey, do you have any of this? And they say, oh, yeah, we have a little extra over here. But if you could just post it, then it would make life so much easier. But I really say that
Rose, you're going to be so happy because I'm going to be talking about that
you've
new coming
reinvented the yellow
soon.
pages. And yeah, I personally love keeping it local for convenience and the actual purposes of my job doing purchasing, but also just because we can support some Rhode Island manufacturing.
That's great.
Yeah.
Hey, Rose, you mentioned lead time and order quantities. Would that be a tip that you would share with folks? Like if they're sitting there and saying, what am I going to do in my first week on Enterprisers? Could that be information that they might want to consider putting on their profile?
Yeah. Oh, that would be fantastic, actually. Um, because yeah, if I'm getting something processed or ordering some yarn, um, overseas, it's a 3 month lead time. The tariffs are very volatile, as we all know. So it really makes planning very difficult. But if I'm working with someone down the street, then I know I can get it shipped the same day. Their lead time is guaranteed. There's no tariffs involved. It's much easier for everyone involved.
Excellent. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. And I love the way you presented kind of the different use cases of what you're doing. It's the same data, but it can be helpful in so many different ways. Even the owner of Neocorp, Andrew, might have other things that he's doing. I know for sure, for example, that when we talked about messaging, there's one owner that I know who's actually using it to start conversations around some leveraged purchasing. They got sick of trying to deal with minimum order quantities that were 120 when they only needed 20. And so they're getting people in a very collaborative way moving it from being just a database to being truly a collaborative tool. So something for everybody in the office is kind of where we're hoping to be. Awesome. Thank you so much. You can obviously find Rose and Neocorp through our Enterprisers database, and we will make sure that when we send out follow-up after this, that we include Rose's information so you can connect with her, because she's a terrific resource for all things, and we're so very lucky to have her on our side and giving us great insights to make this better. So thank you, Rose. All right, we have just a few minutes more, and we're going to keep going at this breakneck speed. What we're going to talk about next is less stress, more of what? Well, we've got two new features that give you more. One is that you get more control now over the way you are seen and accessible through the Enterpriser system. Everybody now has their own user profile. It's an individual profile. You'll see it in the upper right corner. You can not only choose to upload a picture if you want, or change it to your favorite color, but you can say, hey, you know what? I don't actually want people to see that I am visible directly in this. I only want them to go to the authorized company and email that we set up. You can make choices like that if you want, and really be able to kind of control how and with whom you talk to. The other feature is exactly what Rose was talking about. Well, we've already added more of the states, more companies, more messaging, more control. We're about to add a more valuable solution for a day-to-day headache, which is excess stock, surplus inventory, whatever you call it. It's the thing that makes your warehouse manager frown at you all the time. And it's the thing that makes your accountant unhappy with you, because if you haven't used it in 2 years, you are not going to use it. So take something that's good, an asset, but is not good for you and your business goals right now, and use the marketplace that we are developing to be able to find somebody who can use it, for whom it can be a benefit. It works very similar, as Rose said, to kind of, if people are familiar with Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace, you'd be able to upload details, get all this information out. And as I said, this is coming soon. We are looking right now for people who will help us give this a bit of a shakedown cruise in February. If you are interested in that, please message us directly. You can reach me, Erin, at Nterprisers.com. I'll have the information at the end. We'd love to get people signing up and helping us out with this so that we can bring it to more and more people and start making this a real valuable way. I have to say, when we first had this idea, we thought it was going to be things like, I have an extra couple of sheets of copper. Instead, we have people who are trying to get rid of grinders. Either way, we know it's valuable to somebody. So how do you get started? Why, thank you very much for asking. Number one, go to Nterprisers.com and search for your company. Number two, when you find your company, click Claim This Profile. That's a little part of it. Search and claim. Then you're going to create your account. We're going to ask you if you are an enterprise, if you are a manufacturer. This is because it's not a database. It is a convening place. And if we know that you are a manufacturer, number one, we make sure that you have access to the things that are most valuable to manufacturers. Number two, we actually like you better than everybody else in the world. So for example, with your Plus account, you'll get 3 seats. And with a Plus account for an accountant, they'll get 1 seat. This is not because I don't like accountants. I love accountants. I also think that this is for our manufacturers. We are working to make you visible and make it work for you. Then, when you're creating an account, we're going to ask you if you're the owner of the company. Once again, this is about control and privacy. There are certain things owners see that other people don't, and we will verify it to make sure that owners are owners and that ownership is respected. Then, we're going to have you upgrade your account. To upgrade from a starter account, which is what you have when you first go, to the Plus that you're going to get free for 6 months just by attending this webinar as a manufacturer. You go to your nice profile up here, you pick organization, and then you go to subscription. On subscription, you're going to pick subscription plan, and you're going to subscribe. When you subscribe, you're going to pick Owner Plus Annual. We are going to send these details out again, trust me, and you're going to put in a nice code that we're going to give you. That will give you $500 worth of a Plus account for free for 6 months. Then get ready. we'd love it if you would watch your emails because we're going to be sending you useful tips, ideas, good success stories like the ones that Rose shared and moving forward to help you get the most out of this. And then number 5 is a completely shameless, because you've already heard I'm shameless in my love for manufacturers. I'm shameless in my love for manufacturers. It is our vision to make the manufacturing marketplace work for all. You can help us do that by spreading the word, inviting your customers, your suppliers, your colleagues, your friends in this industry to claim their profiles, to start convening and connecting and collaborating for growth. All right. I know that was a lot of information. Megan, I think we have time maybe for one question. What's the one question? Have you gotten anything? I saw that you were kind of
Yeah.
seeing some questions in the background.
Yes. Somebody had asked, I'm already listed in other directories. What's the biggest difference I will notice using Nterprisers?
Oh, what a great idea. I think the biggest thing when we compare enterprisers to others is that you have to pay a lot of money on those other directories to be visible. They're really rewarding the people with the biggest budget. And so it could be $20,000 a year on Thomason to be at the top of it and visible, right? And we don't do that. Everybody is visible. Also included is that we want to make sure that you're able to use time-saving tools every day without us coming in as a middleman or charging you for it. So that's why, for example, the marketplace is just manufacturers talk to other manufacturers. Be able to say, I am looking for something specific and find it. I think that's the biggest difference. Great question. Thank you for posting that. All right. Megan will make sure that I get the other questions and we follow up on people, but we want to say thank you, thank you, thank you. We know this was quick. We know that your time is very valuable. And we hope that we've shown you how we can give you some quick time-saving tools to reach your goals. If you have any ideas or any challenges as you claim your account, please let me know. 2 different things here, but let us know. We're here to serve you, and we look forward to together making this manufacturing marketplace work for you. Thanks very much. Have a great day.